and welcome back to the Engler Journey podcast. I'm your host, Olivia Vanderford, and today I am here with someone who has kindled his flame for entrepreneurship through words and through his background, Sam Skavdahl, and it's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you, Olivia.
So just to get started, I want to learn more about you as an entrepreneur and how you got started.
I come from Harrison, Nebraska, and I was born and raised on a cow-calf operation. I'll be the fifth generation, hopefully, after college to take over. I guess going back to the very beginning of my college career, I did not want to go to college whatsoever. I was actually looking at Laramie, and I really liked it. It was 2 hours from home. I was going to find someone to help me with my classes and come home every weekend and not really get that college experience and just, be around everything that I was comfortable with. I had someone reach out to me, and I had a meeting with the Rush chairman of AGS. I came down here and had a college visit, and I toured City Campus, and I was like, I'm definitely not coming here. And then I got a tour of East Campus, and I didn't get to see Engler on my visit, but I met Sue Ellen Pegg, and she was able to remember every single thing that I'd ever told her on the forums and everything I'd sent in. And I just realized that there's people here who are going to remember me and who want to see me succeed. And so that was I was like, well, shoot, maybe I do want to go here. And then I met some of the guys in AGS, and I was like, I definitely want to come here. Coming in as a freshman, I joined ROTC. Something I don't really talk about a whole lot, but I was over on City Campus every morning, doing training and whatnot, and I really liked it. But I wasn't getting a lot of sleep, and I was kind of being a college kid on the side when I had time. And I asked myself one day, do I really want to be a part-time student, even though I'm supposed to be a full-time student right now? And so I got out of ROTC after my freshman year. I did both semesters and did a lot of thinking over the summer before sophomore year. And I realized that I wanted to be still involved on campus, and I figured AGS really wasn't enough. I needed to be out and branch to meet new people. And so I met Engler, and Alexis Jansen with Black Dirt Boutique was a big push for that. She really got me in and helped me, meet some of the people and just really get involved in the community, which I'll be eternally grateful for her for that. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for a business, and I took 101 with Tom Field, and I just fell in love with Engler and everything that they stood for. And so when I was a freshman in high school, I had a good friend make a leather belt for me, and it just really meant a lot to me. It was a token of friendship between two buddies, and I'd known him all my life. And I told myself, one day I want to be able to, make leather, whatever. But I never really thought of it as a full-on business. And then I got wind of the $50 venture, and I was like, hey, $50, I could do something with that. And so I told myself I was going to start a leather business. And so I started Flying Y Leather. And my end goal is to, hopefully be able to one day make, tack and stuff for working cowboys. Because back home, we're about 2 or 3 hours away from anywhere that's got stuff. And the stuff we do have, the quality over price isn't a very good ratio. It's pretty pricey for not that great of stuff. And so if I can be right there in the heart of where all those cowboys are working, I want to be able to provide them with the stuff they need. And hopefully one day I'll be able to make saddles. Dave Lamb's been really pushing me to get a saddle made. He asks me almost every time he sees me if I've made a saddle yet. I always got to tell him I haven't, but I want to get to that point and making bridles and chaps and stuff like that, while also doing the belts and coasters and wallets on the side. But I want to get more into the working cowboy accessories or whatnot that we need to do our job. I wanted to get more involved in Engler, and so Seth Wright had reached out to me about joining the experience team. I didn't really think I was cut out for it. I just kind of felt like I was just part of the community, but then I realized that I should, to whom much is given, much is expected. It's kind of what I told myself. And so I said, I need to do something for this community that's given me a purpose and kept me in college. Without Engler, without AGS, I'd have been long gone. And so to, kind of pay tribute to people who kept me in, I applied for the experience team. I had a good round of interview questions, and I told myself that there's no way in heck that I got it. And then they told me that I was accepted, and that was really a good, happy memory for me. I was really excited to hear that. And our experience team, we have a very good set of kids on there who are hardworking, and they want to see this community go forward, and they want to make sure that every kid, has that great community experience, which is something that, I didn't really have a whole lot of in high school. And coming to college and seeing that there are communities that you can find if you're willing to look for it was really good. And I think we're doing good stuff, we're doing our best to try to help kids, have a good experience through Engler.
Yeah, so Engler's really given you a lot and it's really impacted your life, your college experience. Yes. So you'd probably recommend to anyone that wants to do or is thinking about the Engler program to get involved, right?
Yes.
So I want to ask you this too, as someone who wasn't really immersed in entrepreneurship right away, to like kids that are on the fence about it, what would you tell them about getting involved in Engler or learning more about the program?
The only thing that happens when you wait is you get older. Like, nothing's going to change unless you change it yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice, because I think a lot of kids, they may be on the fence and they're like, well, I don't know what this is. I'm not going to jump into it and take that risk. Yeah. And that can be kind of a scary thing, Yeah. So did you have any challenges, like when you started entrepreneurship, when you started your leather business? And I also know that you do a lot of poetry. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So back to the leather. When I first started, I was making keychains, and that was all I could do. And I always tell myself, like, oh, these don't really look that great. And although everybody was telling me, like, oh, hey, they're not bad or whatnot. The big thing for me, moving up in the different products that I make, the biggest thing that I realized was chase passion, not perfection. Mm-hmm. And then another thing is, like, just see the beauty of a snowflake, you got to stand in the cold. Like, you're not going to see it right away. You have to be in the middle of it to, get that beauty out of it. To your poetry question, I was a trail guide last fall for 101. I was sitting right over there on a beanbag, and Tom Field was gone one day, and it was Emma Schmidt giving the lesson. She was lecturing. I don't know what prompted me to do it, but I opened up my laptop and opened up my notes page, and I just started typing a poem. That's the first one, titled The Old Cowboy. And then I had a couple of kids read it or whatnot, and I sent it to Tom and asked him what his thoughts were, and he said, this is good, you should do more. And so I think so far I've written about 10 poems, and it's just a nice way to, you get a lot of thoughts and stuff bouncing around in your head. It's good to get those out, so they're not just like wreaking havoc inside your head. And poetry is a good way to express myself, and it calms me down, sitting there writing a poem. So
yeah, I think that's so interesting. I mean, people maybe just looking at you wouldn't think that you'd be writing poetry or something like that. Have you ever written anything about Nebraska, or why is Nebraska so important to you?
I'd say Nebraska is important because that's just where I was born and raised. I mean, that's my home. That'll always be my home.
And it's kind of impacted your business with leatherworking?
Yes.
Yeah.
When people think of Nebraska, they think about corn. They don't really think about cowboys or ranching or, cattle or whatnot. They think about corn, soybeans, and it's farming country, which we may have better corn than Iowa, but there's a lot more to Nebraska than that.
Yeah. And I mean, like with poetry, that there's so many stories throughout Nebraska. Like you're saying, it's not just corn. It's like people. It's about people.
Yes.
So that's so cool. I want to know more, too, about the Engler program. So who have been some of your mentors in the Engler program, and what have been some of your favorite classes you've taken?
Well, definitely 101 was one of a good class, but I think $50 Venture was probably one of my favorite that I've taken so far. I've taken Roadmap and Explore Negotiation, and then I took 388, but I took Enterprise Studio in place of that. And Enterprise Studio has been really good for me, but $50 Venture was like what really got me into the community. Like 101, you went through it with everybody else, but from the very first day, I could tell it wasn't just a class. Like, Tom was really giving us the tool set that we needed to, go forth and conquer, like he's always telling people. And I think that's really important because you don't see that in a lot of classes. A lot of big lecture halls, you go and you sit down and you doze off in and out for an hour and go home and don't know what you're doing on your homework and you don't see the point in it. But I was actually excited to go home and do my Engler homework, like sit down and have those intentional thoughts and intentional conversations with yourself because, I'm not a super social person, but I talk to a lot of people. but I hardly ever talk to myself. And like, that's the most important person you got to talk to. And just keeping that faith-based, I feel like, they don't push religion or whatever, but they make you think about, like, whose brand you're riding for. And I think that's super important. And the $50 venture class was super helpful for me because it helped me get that business up and running. And I mean, never in a million years would I thought I'd ever started a business if I'd gone anywhere else, but Engler really gave that to me.
Yeah, so Engler gives you the tool sets kind of for life, really, like a tool set. Yeah. So the classes that you liked the best was the $50 venture. Yes. So what were your thoughts when you got that $50? Like, what did you do right away?
I was like, well, my startup cost was a little more than $50, and I was like, oh boy, I hope I don't, because I wasn't really sure if you were only supposed to spend $50, but then I found out that doesn't really matter. It's just $50 to help, and so that made me feel a lot better.
Yeah.
But when I got that check, like, it felt like it was, a key to a door that I'd been waiting a long time to open, and that's what really pushed me.
Yeah.
And so.
That's so cool. I mean, I think just Engler, really, any student should take it just for the life skills you're given.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So in like 20 years from now, this is always a question I like to ask. What would you tell yourself about becoming an entrepreneur and taking the challenges and taking the risks and having failure? What would you tell yourself?
It's not easy. I mean, but nothing in life worth having or worth doing is ever easy. If it's easy, more than likely you probably shouldn't be doing it. You should be trying to challenge yourself a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. And going back to your businesses, how can people find your business? Do you promote it at all, or should they come to you? They can come to me. A lot of people text me. I do have a couple business cards. I think I need to get some more out on the table, but a lot of people text me. I do have Instagram. It's just flying_y_leather. I'm not a huge social media guy, but I have to have Instagram because that's the only way I can post pictures or whatnot. But if people want to get a hold of me about my business or just to talk, they'd either got to text me or get on Instagram. Okay, great. Well, thanks for sharing your story. I've loved learning more about your poetry and how you share your story and express yourself, your Engler journey, and more about your leather. So Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.